For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise. And you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in on your favorite podcast app. What is my message this week? Learn to communicate or get lost. It starts on The Scribble right after this.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. I've made no bones about my lack of interest in social media, and it's mostly the whole phone thing. Well, I guess a big part of it, too, though, is you have to realize that my career has been all about public attention and creating content and putting stuff out there, being a newspaper columnist for 20 years, on the radio for, well, hosting a syndicated show to, 300,000 listeners for 15 years, and then outside of that, still being an entertainment reporter and correspondent. So for me, I'm the whole putting stuff out there and getting attention and having feedback from people is not new to me. That's actually really all I know my adult life to be. So maybe that's where I take that step back. At the same time, I've also talked about how people are just entertained by different things nowadays. Back when I started out on the radio, you had to have some kind of, well, you had to have credibility, but you had to have just I guess a natural talent. You had to be a performer because there were only so many hours of airtime. There were only so many pages in the newspaper. So when it's limited resources like that, and the talent pool, let's call it talent in terms of broadcasters, journalists, columnists, whatever, it's, you were fighting for that spot. I remember being in communications and journalism school, and there were 75 of us in the program. Now, people could major in journalism or advertising or public relations. There was a fourth major, wasn't there? No, or maybe it was just the three. And so, taking those numbers, if we were being conservative and saying, okay, well, let's say that 1/3 of the people are going to major journalism, 1/3 are going to major PR, 1/3 are going to, even still, you're looking at, a good 20-some people who are going to be majoring in, for instance, journalism, as I did. There's not 20-something jobs in journalism. Now, we're going back 20 years. Let's remind you that there weren't blogs and endless media outlets and So, you had the 2 daily newspapers in the city. You had 4-ish local TV stations. And then, radio stations, there were a lot. But again, if you weren't going to be an on-air host, or DJ as it was called back then, or you were going to do a talk radio station, it depended on what you were doing. Bottom line is that there were not 20 jobs or 20 plus jobs available at any given time. And even now with layoffs and people, I don't even know that you've ever had that many jobs in my hometown anyway. So you took those opportunities, you took them very seriously. You didn't take them for granted. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And so for me, I've always been about, let's put out content. I've never cared what people have thought about it. When I was a video columnist in the Winnipeg Free Press on my cheapskate book that I had written, my best-selling cheapskate book that I had written, the comment section I never paid attention to until somebody had forwarded me a screenshot or something of what was posted. And it's like, I'm really sorry that you're having to go through this. I didn't even know because I wasn't paying attention. My thing was, as they always say on The View, I don't read the comments. Well, first of all, that's a crock of shit. Because I've never, gone after Sunny Hostin by putting her at Sunny, her, tagging her, or whatever it's called. I've made fun of her, I've made jokes about her, and then I noticed later that she's blocked me. So you can't go and say, you don't read the comments when you went and blocked me. So yeah, I legitimately was not reading the comments. I didn't care, because at the end of the day, I was being paid to produce the content, to be the Winnipeg cheapskate, and put it out there. So I would go, I actually had a pretty sweet gig. I would write the script based on sections from my book. So really all I did was just pull out chunks from my book that were already written. I didn't really have to rewrite anything. I added in some comedy and some lines here or there. And what we would do, though, is we would shoot probably, I think, sometimes we did 4 of them in one shot, in one morning. So I would go to the newsroom, or we had a different set that we were shooting in at some point downtown. I would write 4 of these scripts. We would go, I'm not a morning person, so for me, we would start maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock. These videos were 3 minutes long. They weren't anything extensive. I would sit there. I'm in broadcasting, so I can do a quick, hit without having to restart 17 times. You see those people on YouTube or TikTok that they're called jump cut edits, where they talk 2 sentences and then all of a sudden you see they've done edits. It's you couldn't do 3 sentences without having to go back and change something. So I'm from that old school broadcasting where it's I could, if you want me to talk for 2 hours straight without having to stop and restart and collect my thoughts and tighten that up and edit that, I'm an old school broadcaster. So I would go. I would email the 4 scripts the night before to our video producer, and he would load them in. We had a teleprompter thing as well kind of set up. He would be there in the morning before I got there, setting up the lights, getting it all ready. I would come in, I'd have my bag with me. I had 4 different outfits. I'd go, I'd sit at the desk, do this first one. Sometimes it would take 5 minutes, sometimes it would take 10 minutes. I would go change into something else. And I was sitting at a desk, so sometimes I just had to change the shirt. And I would go, we'd do the second one, and then we'd do the third one, and then I was out of there within an hour and a half. So I did a month's worth of work. Our videos, I think, were every Monday. Because we called it Money Saving. I called it Money Saving Monday. So I would do the 1 month of work in a couple hours one morning. We would tape, I think it was a Wednesday. And then I was done. I was out of there. So for me, this was, again, before the days of having to be connected and interacting on social media and all these things. I was I did my shit. I'm cashing the check. I got my money. I did this. I'm out of there. I'm not now sitting there on the next day after the videos are released and wondering what people are saying or whatever. Fuck that. I don't care. That's not my whatever. And I think that's what people are wanting now, is that they want to poke at you. They want to say how your videos suck, you're stupid, whatever, and then they want you to fire back at them. And I just don't give a shit. I have no interest in doing that, because I don't know, what is it? It doesn't. Here's the thing. It doesn't pay me anymore. That, if anything, I'm going to start billing you for overtime. If you do now want me to go in and start interacting with your audience and use my own Twitter or whatever when they're coming at me, well, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm paid to do these 4 videos for the month. That's it. And then, let the newspaper respond to shit like that, or chime in. It didn't bother me at all. And so that's, I think, where we've gone wrong with communication, is you will sometimes have an opinion just to poke at somebody. I mean, but again, I'm paid to do it for The Bachelor or Bachelorette, where I make nasty comments about the people, but that's also just part of the gig. I mean, that's kind of why you're watching The Bachelor. That's why most people are tuned into that franchise now, is you want to see the train wrecks, you want to see the drama, and even people going on the show. So it's always sweet when people say to me, it doesn't happen so much, no, it doesn't really happen as much anymore, where people are going and saying, well, nobody's forcing you to watch the show. Oh, but you're watching, though, when I say that it's a waste of time or whatever. And then I just clap back and say, yeah, but I'm being paid, about $80 an hour to sit and drink and make fun of the show. So what's your excuse? Those are 2 different things. I can complain about it, but I'm still sitting on my couch drinking, or if I'm in my office or whatever we're doing, I'm getting paid to watch the show. So what's your excuse? What's your problem? And, but there are, again, those trolls who will just sort of fire back, something just for the sake of something, and then you go and look at their page, and that's really all they're doing. So if you post something, let's say, about Britney Spears, and then you go, somebody fires back to your comment, to your tweet, and then you go and look at their page, their feed or whatever, and you see that that's really all they're doing is they're just sending Britney Spears tweets, like replies to people. So they're either doing like hashtag Britney Spears or whatever it is, and then just doing the same thing. Oh, she's a blah, 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 blah. And it's like, is that really all you're doing all day, buddy? Really? You've just spent 3 hours sending like the same message to anybody who's commented about Britney Spears. That's the highlight of your day? Okay, no thanks. I have better things to do. So the communication thing is one thing, but it's also just really weird considering the fact that people are so glued to their devices, right? I mean, it could be a tablet, but I think it's mostly phones for people. That you hear all these things about social media and how we're just getting terrible at communication, and people are, as it's called social media, but people are being antisocial, and they're being, and it's just weird because you'd think. And this is maybe where people kind of have that freak out. There's that expectation, as my mom did. I've told that story, how she had a freak out because I didn't reply to a text message on a Saturday afternoon in the summer. I didn't reply within 5 hours, and she went into full-on psycho mode and broke into my house, or was descending on my property, trying to locate me, and was standing on chairs in my backyard and trying to open my office window. And so it's kind of weird that people just, because there's this expectation now that, yes, you should be replying to me within minutes or within hours or whatever. And that's just not how I live. I've talked about how in my house, my husband and I, our phones are they're on the counter in the kitchen by our toaster oven. And that's just kind of where they are. Now, the exception for me, of course, as I just said, if I've got to, tweet The Bachelor or something, I'm doing work stuff. But we are not mindlessly scrolling Instagram for hours on end. I could honestly not even tell you the last time that I posted on Instagram. I only have an account because I was on the radio hosting a syndicated show, and we were doing all these travel programs, and tourism boards were like, you're not on Instagram? Like, that's kind of the whole thing right now is pictures of these destinations. And I said, well, fine, I guess. And so we started to do it. But otherwise, I mean, I retired at the age of 39, and I've been living the down low life, and my husband is, an amazingly hot Brazilian fitness model, and we just have a nice, quiet life with our dogs, and we just do that. Now, if I wanted to flip that around and be a typical social media gay, well, I mean, I would have all of these, shirtless pictures of us on vacations and lovey-dovey. But at the same time, I'm sitting there going, but is my relationship now being played out for the public, or is it really for me? Because my first thought is not, okay, let's get a picture. Okay, let's do it. I know what he looks like. I don't have to grab all these pictures and prove that we're in love. And so there's this couple that pops up on my Facebook page. Sorry, somebody's going to have to tell me again. The videos, those short videos that you post on Facebook. What is it called? Somebody say it again. Bonnie, who was that? Bonnie, Reels. They're called Reels. Okay, so there's this is how clueless I am when it comes to social media. I thought that you had to be following people for them to appear on your page. That's the whole purpose of following, is that you see who you want to see, and you sort of curate your list of people or followers, your feed of what you want to see. Now, apparently, it's not that. You would have, 4 pages that you don't follow all of a sudden appearing before any of them that you do follow, which is a little bit strange to me. And so, for some reason, when I would go onto Facebook, it would show me Reels at the top of the page. And there was always this couple, and now, I'm not fat shaming, let me just put this disclaimer. But the basic concept of this video series or whatever that this couple puts out is that it's the big woman and the hot, muscled, whatever dude. And the reason why I tell you there is a relevance in me pointing that out is because almost every video, and again, I don't follow her page, but because it comes up, I just don't get it. And she puts on captions so that you get a gist of what the video is about. So she will say something like, oh, another fake kiss from my paid husband actor or something. And so, I mean, I have, I think it's called, no, clickbait is when it's fake, right? But, well, she piqued my interest anyway. So I click it and I watch the video. And so I was like, okay, whatever. I get what she's saying is all these haters are going and saying, okay, you're this fat, ugly, gross woman. How did you land a hot man? And it's a mismatch and it's whatever. So that's the messaging that she is putting out there. And so now apparently what I've been told is because I opened that video the one time, or it's been on my page or it's whatever, now Facebook is going to keep showing me that. Okay, fine. So what happens now is then I see the next one, then I see the next one. Well, the messaging, and like I said, I'm not a follower, so this is just my observation of her page, is that it's almost every video is kind of the same thing, where you've got her like mugging for the camera or doing something, being, and this is a grown woman, we're not talking about a teenager, but she's, being silly or whatever. And then she's just like pawing at this guy. And I kind of sit there going, I don't know what the point of this is. Like, why are you having to defend your relationship or feel the need to defend your relationship to this mob of strangers? Like, I just don't get it. So you have the hot husband, whatever. So do I. But like at some point, I mean, we've, 7 or 8 years into my relationship, I don't know the story of theirs or how long they've been together. Maybe it's new, so maybe it's the honeymoon period. But if I'm just a casual observer who is randomly seeing your page every once in a while, that's my takeaway. Is maybe she's doing it because she wants people to go and say, oh my God, you're fat, you're gross, how can he love you? Oh my God, I deserve him, he shouldn't be with you, Okay, but again, why would you want to do that to yourself then, too? And then there's the other flip side where you're just kind of like, is this just a confidence boost for her? Like, is she trying to just, I don't know. And then at the same time, if you're getting all this hate, why, like, what, like, I don't know. Maybe this guy is an actor. Maybe. And people are speculating now, well, why does he never talk? Why is it always just, why is it always her? Why is she posting on his account? Why is it? Is he an actor? What's the deal? And so that's what's become of relationships nowadays. So there's another one that I see. It's a gay couple, and they will do this is on Instagram though, where they do these like little like badly acted skits, and then they do the hashtags, funny couples, funny reels, and I always just kind of sit there and go, it's not really funny though. Like it's not. These aren't funny. But that's going back to what I just said earlier, is like what people are entertained by nowadays is completely different than 20 years ago when I got into broadcasting. And I've mentioned on this show why I have no interest in hosting a top 40 music show or anything like that again, or doing red carpets, just because it's now not about the event itself. It's now about my moment, me as the host. We didn't do this like behind the scenes of, okay, I'm getting ready at the hotel, here's what I'm wearing, here's what I look like, and I'm narrating. No, the event was the red carpet, and the red carpet was the star. That's what it was. It wasn't me doing selfies with this person, that person, because that also just wasn't allowed back then. And so that's where I've had to take that step back from broadcasting and go, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be some stupid monkey who's going to be, I'm going to get my husband to, dance around and do some stupid videos in my house. Like, great that people might be entertained by that, but I just have no interest in doing that. And maybe there is good money to be had, but I made all my good money back then. I've retired, so I don't need, even this podcast, we just do it for the hell of it. It's just for shits and giggles. Do we make a shit ton of money off this podcast? No, but we don't have to. So, but in terms of communication, we're going to take it. Yeah. Say that again, Tim. Take a break. I'll talk about communications right after this. Okay, more on the Scribble. Stay tuned.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
JB here on the Scribble. So just talking about communications, and I was saying that there's this assumption because people are just glued to their phones, their device, all day, every day, that we should have better communication, right? And I find it interesting though too, and this is where I've taken that step back. I used to confront people. I used to be that one who would be lurking and going, okay, wait a second, I called you. This was back when you would call people or whatever, and you didn't get back to me, but I see that you've posted on Facebook. So don't give me this bullshit that you didn't have time or you couldn't reply to my text because you had time to open up an app, type a message, post a picture, whatever. Why aren't you getting back to me? And I would have those confrontations with people. I really would. And it destroyed a bunch of relationships because people were like, whoa, chill out. I don't owe you anything. I have no obligation to, respond to you. If I don't want to respond to you, I don't have to respond to you. And I get that now. But my point is that I've come to a point in my life where I'm like that now. I'll cut people out very, very easily. So I'll reach out to you, and I'm a caller too. I'm not one of those people who texts and say, do you have time to talk? Hey, can I call you? Oh, I'm going to fucking call you. That's what a phone is for. Don't have a phone number then if you don't want me to call you. So I would call people, and I don't leave voicemails, but whatever. You'll see that I've called. And that's kind of what it is. I'm not expecting somebody 5 minutes later to call me back and be like, you called? What do you want? No, you're going to call me back because you want to have a conversation. I called you just because I wanted to chat. That's really what it is. There's no other reason. There's no ulterior motive. It's not, And so I have now started to cut people off where if I'm always the one reaching out, I do send the weird, silly, funny texts just because it's like, oh, it's going to make you laugh or it's going to make you smile or whatever. I'll send something stupid, And generally, it could be making fun of myself or it could be, whatever. So I do those. And sometimes they're meant to elicit a response. Even just getting the laughter, the smiley face or whatever is I hate to use the word validation, but, okay, they got it. They're at least acknowledging, okay, you sent something funny. All right. But if I'm calling, again, granted, I'm not leaving a voicemail, but the people in my life kind of just know that he wants to talk or, whatever. So if you're not going to call me back, there is that limit now where I'm just like, whatever, done. You're off my sort of like text list of people that I think of when it's like, oh, he'll find this funny or I'll send this to her and we'll have a laugh. I'm not calling you. I'm not calling you every single fucking day, only to be ignored. You can text me later and say, oh, sorry, I was in a meeting. Hey, I'll call you tomorrow. What's up? How's your day going? That's, do that. Acknowledge me in some way. But to just totally, as though you didn't notice that I called, that's a crock of shit. And so I'm not focused on things like that anymore. You don't get back to me? Great. You know what? It's one less person that I'm going to be concerned about making laugh, in my day. So I don't know if it's an age thing or what. That's what I was just going to get at. Or I think it is an age thing, actually. Maybe I should rephrase that as it's coming out of my mouth. That I don't care. Back when I was in my 20s, and I've told this story on the show. I worked at the airport, and this was when we had cell phones, but we did not have internet on our phones. And I don't really even know that texting was a thing. So you'd called people, you had phone calls and voicemails. So I would get on the bus at the airport. I was like 20 something and it was like 10, well, it might've been like 9 o'clock at night. And all of my peers or whatever were in their 20s. So it's not like, oh, I'm already in bed. No, that wasn't happening. So I would get on the bus and I would go through my phone. This is when your phone could only have 50 contacts in it. I would start at A, and I don't remember the names. Let's just say like Ashley. Okay, so I would call Ashley. Ring, 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 voicemail. Hey, what's up? Give me a call. Okay, next one. Brenda, Bonnie, whoever. I'd call, ring, 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 voicemail. All right. There were times when I would get through the entire contact list. So we're saying on a 45-minute bus ride, I'm pretty sure I had about 50 contacts. Now, I didn't call every single person, right? I mean, yeah, you had your contacts that was, your grandma and stuff like that too, so I wasn't doing that. But in terms of friends, I would call maybe 15 of them, And that was when I thought that I've got so many people on my phone, like I've got a full phone, I'm popular, I've got all these people. And then you take that step back and go, nobody's answering the phone though. Now I realize that not everybody's going to be able to just jump and have a 2-hour conversation. I get that. Right? But when my point is that it was happening, every other day when I'm doing this, how many of these people are getting back to me? How many of these people are actually calling me back and saying, oh, what's up? Or is something wrong? Like, you've called me 3 days in a row. So to not even get that, like, why am I going to worry? Why am I paying you any attention if you don't give 2 sweet fucks? And that's where I started saying that to people. It's like, the fact that I'm making time for you, the fact that I'm thinking about you and wanted to have a conversation and hear how you're doing. I was always that person, though, when I was in my early 20s and I was living in my parents' basement and I had my own phone line and I had cordless phones. I was always the person who, if you had a breakup, a fight with your parents, you got fired from your job, you failed a test at school, I was the go-to. Like, I was the listener, and I didn't give advice. This was always my thing, is that I would ask you questions. So I wouldn't go and say, well, you should do this, or if I were you, if I was in that situation, but I'm asking you questions. So have you done this and this? Have you said this and this and this? What about, have you thought about this way? Have you done this? And make people think about things, and then they can draw their own conclusion. So it's not me giving you advice. It's not me telling you what to do. It's me putting these ideas out there and making you, take that step back and think about things a different way. That was always my conversation. And so then when, the tables are turned, and back when I was in my early 20s anyway, I was on depression meds and anxiety, and I was having panic attacks. And so I'm reaching out to these people now and I'm going, I kind of really need to talk. I'm feeling, and where is everybody? And that just makes you even worse then at that point. So back to this communication thing. I mean, I look at it and go, I don't get it. These people are clutching their phone. I laugh at people when I walk through the mall. People are literally clutching their phones. Like, it's not even in your pocket. You got it in your fucking hand. Just put it down. Let it go. My Christ. And I made that very clear to my husband when we first got together, when we did have a disagreement about his phone use, and he was this big, Instagram model, and later I took over his career, and Instagram isn't, that. But it was just made very, very clear that when we're together, we're hanging out. And if you don't want to be hanging out with me, you want to be hanging out with your phone, then go and be single, or go find some other social media quote unquote influencer who can just stare at a phone all day with you. Like, that's, I don't get anything out of that. No interest in doing that. Please. So what are your thoughts? Do you kind of just, I'll reach out to somebody. If they get back to me, they don't get back to me. Are you watching? Why is she posting and she's not replying to my text? Like, what's the deal? Do you watch people? Are you creeping their pages? Are you going, what's up with that? Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
JB here. In our final remaining moments, I've talked about my cousin who's just gaga over this guy. She met him, she lives in Canada, he lives in Amsterdam, and she's just her life is just all about this guy. And so she's gone to visit him now, 3 times she's gone to visit him. And each time, of course, the family members back home are sitting and watching that she's basically live streaming, and they're going out for dinner, and she will literally prop up the phone if they are at a restaurant, and we're just watching a live stream of them eating, or if they were at home cooking or whatever it is. And so that's a prime example of me going, again, is your relationship for you or for other people? That's just not my first thought. If I haven't seen this guy in a long time. First of all, I'm like jumping his bones. We're having that togetherness. My thought isn't, hey, let's do Facebook Live and like let everybody like see how happy we are or whatever. No, my time is limited with you. If I'm only here for a week or however long it is, maybe we'll do the pictures and all that shit like that, and then we can start posting it after or relive it when I'm missing you and whatever. Oh my God. And remember, my husband was from Brazil when he started emailing our radio shows years ago. And so we did have those kinds of visits where it's like, you're only here for 3-4 days. Yeah, that was not our whole thing of like, okay, let's go and post these now. Let's go worry about getting this shot for Instagram. Yeah, fuck that. That wasn't happening. I was jumping his bones. Jumping his bones! All right, I'm out of steam. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. I will talk to you same time, same... Oh, again, the email address, thank you, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. Bye-bye for now, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some